right.
Would you like to? Perfect. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Commissioner Holloway here, Chair of the Checklist Committee. I'd like to call to order the CCDA Checklist Committee meeting for Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. Time is 1:30 exactly. And Adam, would you provide us with details of how this meeting is to be governed? Don't tell me I was on mute.
That was me. I was trying to speak, but I guess I
Okay.
was on mute. I apologize, everyone.
No worries.
This meeting will be held via Zoom. There is no physical location being made available to the public. Per AB 361, teleconferencing restrictions have been extended to March 31st, 2022. Therefore, committee members are not required to list their remote locations, and members of the public may participate either by Zoom or teleconference from any location. This meeting is being captioned and recorded. To assist in this effort, please state your first and last name each time you speak and speak loud and clear. The live captioning link has been included in the chat for your use. Public participants can use the raise hand function to alert the committee of when they would like to speak, and we will also give an opportunity for public members who have called into the meeting, at which time they can unmute themselves. If you are attending this meeting via teleconference, please press *6 on your keypad to unmute or mute yourself. If you would like to alert CCDA, press *9 to telephonically raise your hand and staff will call on you. Please remember to mute yourself if you are not speaking in order to reduce noise. If you are having technical issues throughout the meeting and need assistance, please use the chat function to alert CCDA, or you can email us at ccda@dgs.ca.gov.
Okay. Adam, would you like to call the roll and see if we have a quorum?
Be happy to, sir. Commissioner Brian Holloway.
Present.
Commissioner Drake Dillard.
Here.
Committee member Mark Christian.
Present. Here.
Committee member Brandon Estes.
Present.
Committee member Ike Najee.
Here.
Committee member Bill Zelmer.
Here.
Committee member Mehdi Shadyab. All right, well, that concludes the roll. And as stated, sir, we do have a quorum, so we're able to continue.
Okay, do we have anybody from the public on the call that we should identify?
At this time, sir, I wanted to introduce Miss Amelia Miller from Senator Jones's office.
Terrific.
Charlene Ornelas, citizen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much for identifying yourself, and welcome to the committee meeting. The next item on our agenda is item number 2, which is approval of the minutes of September 29th. And has everybody had a chance to review those? We can now accept a motion to approve those minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Thank you very much.
This is Drake Dillard.
Thank you. And I will second the motion. Any comments from the public on the minutes? None appearing. Adam, would you, can we do a voice vote, or do we need to do a roll call vote?
We can do a voice vote, sir.
Okay, all right. So everybody's read the minutes. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None appearing. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, minutes are approved. Thank you, everybody. Okay, item 3 is comments from the public on issues not on the agenda. Are there any comments from members or the public on an issue that is not on today's agenda?
Commissioner Holloway, it appears Charlene Ornelas has a comment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the comment I have is may already be on here on the agenda for today, but I'm not sure. But it's in your description of what a service dog is. There needs to also be included what a service dog is not, or what is not a service dog. So many people are bringing pet dogs, calling them service dogs, and they can get paperwork off of the internet, pay a fee, which is kind of ridiculous because there's no way to really quote unquote certify a dog as being a service dog. But they come in and they're barking, they're carrying on, they're on long leashes, a lot of times tripping people, and they're a real nuisance. So that people who own businesses need to be told what they can do to determine if it really is a service dog, and which is asked the two questions: is this a service dog? And if it is, what does the dog do for you that you can't do for yourself? And the other part is whether it's really a service dog or not, if they're being disruptive and their behavior could be compared to that of a human, and you would tell the human to leave, then you need to tell people to take the dog out of the business. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Adam, why don't we put on our next agenda, because we can't deal with it today, not being on the agenda. Why don't we put on our next checklist agenda, maybe some legal indication of what is and what is not a service dog, and what's the proper procedure should there be a problem with a non-service dog in a business, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does that make sense for the committee? Anybody have any reservations on that? No? Okay, thank you, Charlene. I appreciate that.
Very good, sir. I'll make a note.
Okay, item 4. And let's see, Phil has a PDF that he is going to talk about.
Yes, I just wanted to make it's more of a solemn announcement that the Accessible Parking Campaign member and disability rights advocate Robert R. Planthold passed away in February 2022. I wanted to just say a few things about Mr. Planthold. There are, several articles out there I've seen, talking about his life and accomplishments and a lot of the things that he's done in his lifetime. So I encourage everybody to take a look, but I'll just name off a few things here. This is more on a personal note. He was a renowned and honored disability, transit, and civil rights activist in the San Francisco area. He was born August 1st, 1948, and attended Boston College, and he was a graduate of Boston College. Throughout the 70s, he bounced back and forth between Boston and San Francisco. Finally, at the end of the decade, he settled in San Francisco. He had 2 children, Robert and Raymond. He is noted as often taking his activism to the city hall and the Bay Area streets. So he was very engaging in the community and very, very missed. And I just wanted to say that the CCDA is going to greatly miss Mr. Planthold and his contribution to our commission. And again, if you wanted to know a little bit more about Mr. Planthold, there are a lot of things that have been published about him over the last couple months. And, he's a great man and he will be greatly missed. And is there anyone else that would like to, any comments around Mr. Planthold? Memories?
Okay, thank you, Phil, for doing that. Did CCDA send a card or anything to the family?
We have not. We need to find out. I know he has sons. We need to just kind of figure out how we can get a hold of them to make contact in that arena. So I'll make that an action item for myself, and I will make that happen.
And we could send that from the commission, or we could send that from the checklist committee, and I'd be willing to sign that card along with the staff as well.
Okay, I'll put something together and I'll get it out to the committee.
Right. Thank you very much. Okay, item 5 is a CCDA legislative review and update. And I think the question is do we have Karina Rohr with us today?
Yes, hello, Commissioner.
Oh, terrific. Thank you very much for joining us. Would you like to walk us through the potential legislation?
Sure. So first up, we've got AB 1604 by Holden. This is the Upward Mobility Act. This is a reintroduction essentially of AB 105 from last year, which was vetoed by the governor. This bill would require that by January 1st of 2023, All state boards and commissions consisting of one or more volunteer members or commissioners would have to have at least one board member or commissioner from an underrepresented community. An underrepresented community has been expanded to include physically and mentally disabled persons, along with people who self-identify as Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, Native American, Native Hawaiian, Native Alaskan, LGBT and veterans. The provisions would only apply as vacancies arose, sort of as they naturally occurred, and the requirement would only apply to vacancy appointments that are by the governor, by the chair of a board or commission, by the Speaker of the Assembly or the President pro tem of the Senate, or the Senate Rules Committee. So this bill also, in addition to the commission requirement, which is what primarily impacts CCDA, also has provisions for the State Personnel Board to investigate complaints filed by employees in a state's EEO program and personnel office, complaints by other civil service and employees, by applicants or members of the public who allege violations of civil service law, and they have to report their findings to the State Personnel Board. And this bill has passed its first policy committee, and it's currently awaiting a hearing in Assembly Appropriations. The next bill we have is AB 1733 by Assemblymember Quirk. This is a state body's open meetings bill. This bill so far seeks to modify Bagley-Keene to specify that a meeting under the Act does include one that's held entirely by teleconference, and it require all open meetings to be held by teleconference in addition to whatever method they are being held, I imagine, physically as well. The body must provide the public with the means to remotely hear or hear and observe the meeting, in addition to a two-way audio-visual platform or telephonic service so that they can participate in the meeting. This bill would strike the requirement to notice the physical location of each commissioner that's participating remotely, and it would not require commissioners' presence in a single physical location to establish a quorum. However, the bill does require that each meeting, the state body must provide a physical location in addition to either the teleconference or the internet ability. The agenda must still be posted 10 days in advance of the meeting on the state body's website and at any of the physical meeting locations that are going to be noticed on the agenda. And the notice needs to specify what means the public can use to remotely participate in the meeting. So while the notice does not have to disclose the remote location from which a member is participating, any member attending remotely must disclose whether or not another individual 18 or older is present in that room. And if the state body discovers that the remote transmission has failed and can't be rectified, then the body has to adjourn, notify participants, and then the adjournment also has to notify when the body can reconvene and how the public can rejoin that meeting. So this bill has been double referred to the Assembly Governmental Organizations Committee and the Business and Professions Committee. No hearings have been set as of yet. Next up, we have AB 1795 by Assemblymember Vince Fong. This is another Bagley-Keene bill. This bill would amend Bagley-Keene to require state bodies to permit persons to attend both by in-person and remote participation, where remote participation is described as participation at a location other than the physical location designated in the agenda. This bill has been referred to the Governmental Organization Committee, but no hearing has been set as of yet. Next up, we've got 2164 by Assemblymember Lee. This affects the Disability Access Education Revolving Fund. This bill would make permanent the increased fees imposed on local building permits or business permits that was originally imposed by AB 1379 in 2017. It would require both DSA and local jurisdictions to use a portion of those funds to provide financial assistance to small businesses for construction of physical accessibility improvements. It would also require local jurisdictions to submit annual report information on the use of those funds to CCDA in addition to DSA. This bill is awaiting hearing in Assembly Appropriations. Next up, we've got AB.
Wait, can we go back to that one a little bit? So I see, so it's already collected. This bill would increase the fee, right?
No, it would not increase the fee. The fee has been increased since 2017. It would just make the increases permanent. They were set to sunset, but if this bill passes, they won't sunset. They'll stay at, I believe, $4.
So on occasion, I actually see a full list of building permit fees. You know, it's a whole list of them when you pull a building permit. I've never seen this fee. Do you know what it is titled on a building permit?
Local jurisdictions may title it differently. It's not necessarily always on a building permit. The statute also allows for it to be alternatively placed on a business permit if that local jurisdiction does not issue building permits. So the fund that those go to when the locals submit it to the state is the Disability Access and Education Revolving Fund. However, the statute itself does not give a particular name, so locals may have different names on it. But it should be related to certified access specialists is what those funds are currently used for.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. Any questions from the committee or the public on that?
And do we know how much the request for the funding, how much that is, and what is it based on?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
Do we know whether the funding is based on a square footage or
No,
how do they calculate?
It's a set amount. It's a set dollar amount that's tacked on to whatever other fees the local jurisdiction already imposes on either a building permit or a business permit. So it's a set dollar amount.
Do we know what that set dollar amount is?
I believe it's $4.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Good question. Thank you. Okay, please continue.
Sure. The next one is AB 2962. This is actually authored by the Assembly Judiciary Committee. This bill would clarify the California legislature's intent with regard to a previous bill, AB 1521. This bill seeks to clarify that federal courts should not feel obligated to deny supplemental jurisdiction over federal construction-related accessibility claims. It's been referred, obviously, to the Assembly Judiciary Committee, and no hearing has been set yet. Apparently, the lack of clarification on AB 1521 had led to some instances of federal judges kicking certain cases out of federal court and back to California. This bill is designed to basically remove that hurdle and allow claims that are federal accessibility claims to move more easily through the federal court system. All right, and the final one we have is AB 2917. This is by Assemblymember Mike Fong. And this bill would add complaints related to internet accessibility to the types of accessibility related complaints which attorneys must already submit to CCDA. It would also require CCDA to develop educational materials related to accessibility standards for websites. It's been referred to the Assembly Judiciary Committee, but no hearing has been set yet. And those are all of the bills we have as of this moment in time.
All right, thank you very much. Very thorough report. Questions from the committee and the public? Okay,
Seeing
none
none,
appearing.
Commissioner.
All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Okay,
You're welcome.
moving
Actually,
on.
I'm sorry, Brian, would you mind? I just wanted to ask one question. As time passes, will we continue to get these kind of updates on this legislation?
I typically present updates at, I believe, the full committee and the legislative committee. But our office, the DGS Office of Legislative Affairs, does submit a weekly bill update list, which I believe the CCDA staff has access to. And they attached it to the last email, which also provides the legislative updates. So you could get, if CCDA staff would be so inclined, I'm sure they'd be happy to forward that tracking weekly to you as well.
I don't think I need weekly. That would
Well, whenever you so choose. If you want a
Thank
weekly
you.
update, I'm sure it can be yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for, right? Okay,
Commissioner Holloway, I just want to say one
Yes.
thing real quick. The reason that we kind of put some of these in here, they had, especially the ones regarding the Bagley-Keene Act, because that's coming to an end here at the end of the month. That's why we chose to put these in here today, because they were pressing, and we want to make sure everybody was aware that, this is right, staring us right in the face right now. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, moving on. Item 6, accessible parking campaign update and discussion. Is this Phil or Adam gonna do this one?
I can, I know we had talked a little bit about myself and Commissioner Dillard, but you might want to jump in on this one as well. I will start with the construction, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yes, please.
So we have a construction industry work group. Let me go through the summary here. So we're trying to bring on an additional 3 to 4 members to this group. We've made some attempts to outreach, and hopefully we can, within this group, or the people who are on this call today, maybe we can get some additional participation, or at least you may know somebody who may be interested in participating in this group. We're trying to bring in an additional 3 to 4 members. We do have some people that we're reaching out to currently to try and bring onto this group, but that has been an active discussion with this group, is bringing additional members on. Also, we had talked a little bit about a focus group. It looks like we're going to kind of put that on hold right now. And a lot of this revolves around the top 10 alleged accessibility violations. So we're still in these work groups, we're still in a development mode. We're still trying to really, solidify the core group, and then solidify exactly which way we want to go with these groups. So that's an ongoing discussion. So obviously we're developing toolkits in these groups that we're going to be able to use above and beyond what we have now. So this is just, again, what you're looking at right now is a summary of the meeting. We met Monday and we met today to kind of do some further discussion about group members and also how we wanted to proceed in these groups. So right now, what I can tell you is that we are actively recruiting to try and bring people to the construction and the business owner and operator group. Probably by the next checklist committee meeting, we will have a more solid idea of who's going to be in the group, and also a clear direction as to how we're going to develop these toolkits.
And we also have Mr. Todd on board as a helping consultant.
Ron.
And
Ron.
And Ron,
Cool.
Ron, would you have anything you'd like to add here?
No, just I just want to say that I'm very eager to assist on this project. I think it's very worthwhile, and gotten a lot of good support from Phil and Adam. Like Phil mentioned, though, we are kind of light on membership. So we are actively trying to add new members, specifically to the construction industry and the business owners and operators group to make sure that we get input from the affected groups.
Exactly. And on the screen is item 6B, which is a portion of it. And then there's also 6A, which is the other portion. It's like a 2-page document with 2 separate numbers. So any comments or questions or suggestions from the committee members and the public members on board today?
I would only add that, oh, sorry, there's a hand up. I would let her go.
Charlene or Ornelas would like to make a remark.
Yes, please.
Yes, when they're putting in the, in parking lots, the charging stations, because the accessible parking is at a minimum now, and it's very difficult to locate or to access because of the lack of numbers. When it was originally, there's minimum numbers, and that's where most parking lots use, that any new charging stations would not be in a designated ADA parking space, that it would, but next to one as much as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
This
Any
is
other
Alex
comments?
Warner. This is Alejandra Warner, and I cannot find my hand to raise my hand. Where to do that, if I may speak. I'm with the
Could
city
you
of
tell
San
us who
Diego.
you are, please?
I'm Alejandra Warner with the city of San Diego, and
Thank
I'm
you.
with the AD coordinator's office. And we are receiving a lot of complaints from the public regarding on-street parking and off-street parking. And besides the issues that we already had, we have even more problems with the street eateries.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So we're having a lot of problems because street eaters are taking either, on existing accessible parking spaces, either on the street or the parking lots. So it's a big issue. The other one, yes, as Charlene mentioned, the charging stations are taking over parking spaces, and they should know that parking spaces are not charging station spaces. So that's another issue that we have, but the most relevant issue is the street eaters, the street cafes. Either a lot of restaurants are extending into their parking lots, which is a big issue because they will take the first parking spaces will be the accessible parking spaces, or they will extend into the street and many times taking the on-street parking spaces.
Interesting. I had not seen that. Thank you for bringing that up. We will include that as in our document when we finally get there. Okay, any other comments and suggestions, ideas?
This is Ron Tove. I just wanted to put another plug in for the Business Owners Operators Working Group. That's the one that we really need additional members. So if anyone who is participating in this meeting today knows of any small business owner operators that would be willing to provide some input on challenges they have had with providing accessible parking, they should send that name to Phil.
And I would add that Phil has a letter, if needed, that you could forward to someone indicating the scope of what they need of their requirements to participate. So you just need a name and where to send it. Sure.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay. Any other comments or questions or suggestions, both from committee members and the general public?
Yes, Commissioner, we have
Yes.
John James who'd like to make a remark.
Terrific. Thank you. Please proceed.
Hey there, good afternoon. John James, City of South Lake Tahoe building official. As far as what Phil's looking for reaching out to people, you could send me an email and I could distribute it to the listserv for the California building officials. You should be able to get a pretty good response from that.
Great idea. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yep, thanks for having me. Phil, I think you have my email, but I can send it back to you.
Yeah, I think I do. I remember. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Appreciate your
Absolutely.
help. Thanks.
I appreciate you.
Okay, any other ideas? Okay, let's move on to item 7, which Ron may have already talked about. Ron, would you, anything else you want to add on item 7, which is the accessible parking work group members?
Well, I think Phil pretty much summarized where we are.
You can pitch it again.
So yes, so we would like to get more members to especially the building owners and operators group, the construction industry group. At our last meeting, we had a number of names that were, or leads, I should say, and I think that we already got one candidate, a good applicant by the name of Craig Perry, who I think will be a good addition to the group. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not to try to assemble focus groups. When I was originally brought into this effort, focus groups were mentioned as kind of the next step. And originally I thought that wasn't necessary. And then after trying to get some input from some of the working group members, I kind of felt that we needed more input. But at this point, both the construction industry group and the business owners group have put the idea of focus groups on the back burner. And we're hoping that just by getting a good number of stakeholders and people who are involved with these issues onto the working group, that we'll be able to have sufficient input to develop these toolkits.
All right, thank you. Questions for Mr. Toad? Okay, not appearing. Anybody in the public on that item?
Seeing none, sir.
Okay, item 8, future agenda items. Any ideas for future agenda items that you think we should add to our next meeting, which will be on June 22nd? Any additional items you'd like to add to that agenda other than what we've already talked about? Anyone in the public? No, okay, all right. The only other item I have is item 9, which would be an adjournment. And any other last minute comments before we adjourn?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that meeting in June, do you anticipate that being in person?
I suspect it will be in person, but we will probably also, it will be some kind of virtual. It may be Zoom virtual, or it may be phone in virtual. If phone in, I guess phone is not really virtual. But yes, if you can't attend, there'll be a way to participate, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other items? All right, thank you, everybody. Good meeting, and appreciate all your help, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah.